Family Partnership. John Everett Till is the Vice President of Family and Community Programs with the Family Partnership. Through his efforts, the Family Partnership has implemented research in family strengths and innovative programming in youth development and civic engagement. John holds a master's degree in biological sciences and graduated from the Executive Leadership Institute at the University of Michigan at Ann Arbor in 2009. Please welcome John.
Well, good afternoon. I was waiting for the adrenaline surge, and now I have it. We know that this is an important new initiative for the Rotary, and the Family Partnership is excited about it too. The process of developing our proposal was fun and engaging, and it gave us an opportunity for some fresh thinking about the work that we do with young people and how that work could be strengthened through a new partnership with the Rotary. So let me just tell you a little bit about our organization. We're a little bit like the Rotary. We were founded in 1878 by George Brackett, who was the 6th mayor of Minneapolis. Now here's something you can take home with you, but keep it a secret because people could use it. Back then, in the 1870s, the mayor of Minneapolis was a one-year term. So don't let that idea spread. There'll be more chaos in Minneapolis. And we're really pleased to have the great-grandson of our founder here in the room with us today, David Brackett. But moving on, what we do as an organization is we build strong families, vital communities, and better futures for children. And our vision for the work that we do is that all children, families, and communities, regardless of income and origins, have the same opportunity to succeed. And last year, 2013, we worked with 30,000 people in the West Metro area, mainly in Minneapolis, but also in some high-need suburbs of Minneapolis. 91% of the families that we worked with were low income. About 61% were people of color. Almost 30% were new immigrants to the United States. About 60% were children and families. And we have 5 service centers in the metro area. We do partnerships. We have partnership in our name, the Family Partnership, and we do partnerships well. We know they're important. If you've ever been on Highway 62, known as the Crosstown for people who've been in the Twin Cities for a long time, and you cross Portland, the next time you cross Portland Avenue on 62, think about World War II and the Victory Farms, because the Family Partnership mobilized hundreds of volunteers and hundreds of families to help people feed their families with fresh fruits and vegetables back during World War II, right there. And last year we engaged about 2,600. Still a pretty big number, right? Yeah, 2,600 volunteers in our work with children, families, and communities. We do that work in 3 main areas: counseling, education, and advocacy work. But before I talk a little bit about the project that we want to engage you around, I just wanted to ask you to think for a minute about when you were a kid. Did you have food ready for you? Did you have breakfast before you went to school? Who cooked it? For a lot of the kids that we work with, that's nobody. If they get to school on time, they might be eligible for free and reduced lunch and be able to get it. But they still have to get to school on time. And then what do you think the day is like before lunch for those kids? Are they learning? Those are the kids we work with. Think about a group of kids whose parents were children and grew up in a refugee camp in the middle of the desert. Think for a moment about how you learned to have fun as a kid, what you did to play. These kids' parents were focused on survival. That was their childhood, and that was their adolescence and their young adulthood, and now they're here. They may be good parents, but they don't know a lot about how to create opportunities for their kids. Think about who taught you to fish. It was probably your parents, right? Or an uncle or an aunt, somebody close to you. I know for me it was my dad. He made a fishing pole out of a bamboo stick. He was really good at crafts, and that came in handy because we were in Indian guides back then. That was when I was really little. And then one more thing to think about. Think about Think about a neighborhood, maybe a neighborhood with lots of boarded up businesses. But maybe there's some young people there who have ideas, they have ambition, ideas, they have dreams. How do they make connections that have those dreams come true for them later in life? Maybe they want to start a business. Who do they know who's running a business? Who could be there for them? So that's the opportunity we want to talk with you about today. The Family Partnership has a program called Youth on the Move. It operates in a number of schools in Minneapolis, and what we do is in the after-school time and over the summer, we bring together groups of kids so that they can get excited about things like learning how to fish, or things like learning how to cook, or maybe it's arts, maybe it's photography. It's some skill that might connect with being able to read, or might connect because there's planning involved with math and science. It gets kids excited about learning in a new way. And those programs need volunteers. They need people from the community to come in and bring their skills and gifts, because what we're trying to do is light a spark that gets kids excited about learning for life in fun, practical ways. And that work around lighting that spark, that was the guiding idea of Dr. Peter Benson, the late Peter Benson, who was the director of the Search Institute. But we have put that idea into practice in our organization and in the work we do with young people. So we have a specific opportunity. There's 4 schools that we're looking at, but I'm only going to talk about one of them today because it's the one with the highest need, and that's Green Central School. That's about 10 minutes away from here. It's right off 35W South in the heart of South Minneapolis. It's a school that last school year had about 360 kids. It's actually a really low-income student facility. 90% of the kids there are on free or reduced lunch. And that's compared to, if you look at Minneapolis public schools as a whole, 65% of the kids in the district are on free or reduced lunches. This is 90. It's a really high poverty school. And the largest population of students there, 61% Hispanic, 25% African American, only about 66% white, 57% are learning English in school. About 12% are special ed. And this school, while it's making progress in terms of academics, it's still rated as a priority school, which means it's in the lowest 5% performing schools in the state. Now the problem is that although 175 kids last school year, every day, 175 of those 360 or so kids were engaged in after-school programming. Problem is, the money for that after-school programming, which is 21st century federal grant-funded money, that always runs out periodically, and this year it's going to be running out, and it'll be several years before there's any more of that. So we have a very large group of kids in an academically struggling school where those kids need a lot of support this coming year and in years to come around their academic success. We want to light a spark in these kids, and we think Rotary can play a huge difference there with us. So in terms of talking about what we have planned, how we want to use the resource if Rotary should decide to make a grant to the Family Partnership for this, is we have a staff person. His name is Alex Ermita. He's been with our program now for about 5 years, working with kids who are truant and working with kids in after-school programming. Working with the truant kids to get them in school and staying in school. And working with kids who've never had after-school programming before, and in this case they're high school kids who are new immigrants to the United States, teaching them photography. And now at our Lake Street branch, you can come by because we have their photographs up on the walls, and they're amazing. These kids have incredible talent, but the only way they get to access and realize that talent is if somebody comes in and lights that spark. And we know that you have sparks too. There are specific skills, interests, things that you can bring to the table as Rotarians with the kids that we're working with that can really help them. And this work can happen in a bunch of different ways. It can happen as you come in and work with a specific group. You could come in one time. You could come in multiple times. If you don't want to work with kids, let's say you're really good at finances. Well, we have a lot of different kinds of programming at the Family Partnership. Our focus is families, and we have a range of different kinds of programming that works with kids and families. So for instance, if your area is finance, well, we have a financial achievement program for Latino communities where we need volunteer tax preparers, we need people to come in and teach financial literacy classes, either one class about something you know a lot about or a whole series of classes. We can serve more people if we have more volunteers. And finally, we are nurturing low-income Latino entrepreneurs, people who want to start businesses. Somebody like the kid in that neighborhood with all the boarded-up windows, who's now an adult and wants to start a business. They have the ambition to do it. We have some resources that we can bring to the table for them, but we need to also engage other people in the community who've been successful who can help them out. So, I told you we've got a staff person ready to go, but he's not here today, right? So where is he? Well, today, Alex is at Theo Worth Park with 2 of our other staff and about 20 kids, and we're doing a back-to-school barbecue with those kids today. The point of this barbecue is we want to check in with these kids before they start the new school year. All 20 of these kids were truant last year. We worked with them, coaching them one-on-one. That's kind of another role where Rotarians could play a role, is mentoring a young person. And we got them to improve their attendance. But now the question is, well, what about the next school year? Are they enrolled anywhere? Do they have the school supplies they need? Are they ready for school? And so this barbecue is, we're bringing them the school supplies they need. We're bringing them a backpack of school supplies. We're doing a fun activity that reminds them that school can be fun, and there's after-school opportunities that we can start connecting them to right away. And so those kids are where Alex is today, and where David is, and where Jed is, up in Theo Worth Park. So one final story. I told you who taught me to fish. And 2 of our staff last week took a group of 20 East African kids whose parents grew up in refugee camps. They're in an after-school program that's in Columbia Heights. And so Jed started looking for a lake that was near the North Metro. And he went out, he did his field work, he did research online, and checked the lake out. So he took this group of kids up to Silver Lake last week. Kids had never fished before, and that day they didn't actually catch any fish. They did hook a turtle though, threw it back. But the thing is that those kids, by the time that activity was done, they were saying, when's the next time we're going to go out and fish? So that's my question to you. When's the next time you're going to come out and help us fish? We have the opportunities. We hope we've conveyed some of the excitement that we feel about this idea, and we can be flexible with you, whatever you want to do, whether it's with kids or whether it's adult. We have volunteer opportunities waiting for you. And thank you for your time today, and that's it.
Our next presenter will be from